What has an island in the Atlantic got to do with the Wild West? The scenes, the looks, the vibes. And it's not just me who saw that. So let me show you. Actually, when I was researching how can I make this video more interesting, because there's like 100 other videos about Gran Canaria on YouTube, I came across the word wild, and then that triggered me to think of the Wild West. And I was thinking, the landscape is something that you would see in cartoons with the Wild West or in some old Western movies, but it's actually an island in the Atlantic. So let me tell you more about it. Let's see if you see it the same way or if I'm just imagining things. Actually, I wasn't the first one to see this. Other people, many people saw this before me as well. Gran Canaria has an amusement park that used to be a film set for Western movies, and like there were actual Western movies filmed there. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see this because they were filming there. But anyway, it's very cool to learn that like someone saw this in the same way as I did. Let's go to the things that we actually saw there. We headed to a canyon which resembled the famous Antelope Canyon in the States. This one has also the name dedicated to a beautiful animal. This time it's called Barranco de las Vacas. And it's a beautiful place. And as with all beautiful places, which are also easily accessible, it's also full of tourists, obviously. And it was very, very difficult to get photos without any other strangers in them. As I am an amateur, I learned afterwards that you should visit these places early in the morning, probably before sunrise, to get pictures without other people in them. But yeah, otherwise, very nice place, very small, nice hike. It wouldn't be a desert without some cacti, right? We stopped by botanical garden, which had many very big cacti. Actually, the biggest that I've ever seen, because they were the size of actual trees and they would give you shade and everything. And if you wouldn't look up, you would actually not realize that they're actually cacti, because the whole trunk was the shape and the color and everything of a proper tree. So we have canyons, check, cacti, check. I already mentioned wouldn't be a desert, so I'm gonna move on to how many types of desert we have here. It was very interesting to drive around the south part of the island, which is very dry. Of course, not the whole island is like this, but I'm just gonna refer to this kind of landscape now because it aligns with the concept of the video. And yeah, basically there was nothing there except red rocks. It was like a proper desert. And I've seen pictures at one point they had plants, maybe when it rains, but when we drove there it was just like nothing, a lot of rocks, very dry, very sunny, wouldn't want to get lost there. Actually, this is also something that I would imagine the Wild West or like parts of the Wild West to look like. And I'm sure I've seen this kind of landscape somewhere in a cartoon when I was little. So the only thing missing from this video are horses. So if you watched so far, drop a horsey in the comments down below to make up for it. And then the second kind of desert that I want to refer to is again a very small part, even smaller than the Red Rocks. They have in the south of the island a place called Mas Palomas, which is part nature reserve, part beach. But yeah, it's very curious that they have this sand in the south of the island. And it gets even more curious with this. So initially I assumed that this sand was brought by the wind from the Sahara, but then I wanted to be sure about it, so I researched it and I realized that actually nobody knows where that sand comes from. It's not from the Sahara. The most probable theory is that in the 1760s, a tsunami brought the sand from the floor of the ocean. So it was so big that it brought a whole bunch of sand on the island, because these dunes don't appear in the early maps of the island. But nobody can guarantee this for sure. So they just realized at one point that sand appeared on maps and in paintings and so on. But yeah, nobody knows for sure yet. I wasn't sure whether I should include this place in this video, but it's a place that I will probably never forget that I visited, and I think it's definitely worth visiting. Is the Museum of the History of the Canary Islands, where they have a lot of artifacts about how the original inhabitants of the Canary Islands lived way back. They have like weaved baskets and skins and like different rocks as tools that they use. Anyway, like very early stuff. But they also have this room which is full of skulls. To be honest, it's kind of an eerie feeling to go there, to be surrounded by so many skulls. So the fact that I always remember that room will always make me remember the museum, and then I'll always remember the story and what I learned there, and the fact that when the Spanish came over, this population has basically disappeared at one point, which is also similar, right, to what happened in the Americas. But moving on. So there's actually now a blur in my head between the images that I have from cartoons and Gran Canaria and like old Western movies. But I want to also mention that, yeah, you wouldn't think of the coast when you think of Western movies, but Gran Canaria has a very nice village at the coast. And when I say very nice, it's with small houses and lots of flowers and very cozy and intimate. Local, if I could say so, but it's not local at all, it's all tourist, but it doesn't feel super touristy. It was one of the places that I like the most on the island. And also super interesting, it has like a little harbor. And the water is so clean that you can actually see the fishes swimming under the boats and in the clear water. I think it was one of the most clear waters that I've ever seen, when you can actually see groups of fish swimming together. And I almost felt like I will see Dory in a moment in that clear water. In conclusion, if you like this video, you should watch one of my other vlog videos. There's only two, one with Tenerife and one with La Gomera. I hope you enjoy this, and I'll see you soon.